Hi and welcome to another video from Clarion's Contentious Private Client team. I'm Lynsey Harrison and I'm joined again today by Jacob Crooke, who's one of our amazing solicitors in the team.
Hi Lynsey, good to be here.
So today we're talking about mental capacity, specifically around the making of a will or a lifetime gift. And it's an issue that sits at the very heart of a lot of the disputes we see, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So mental capacity is, or claims that someone lacks a mental capacity to execute a will is probably the most common ground for challenging a will.
Yeah.
And the same with sort of lifetime gifts and things where people have doubts as to mental capacity during a person's lifetime. Those gifts being challenged after they've died is something we're seeing more and more often.
It's really common, isn't it? Yeah. So let's just start with wills. What's the current test for deciding whether someone has the required capacity?
So the current test comes from a case called Banks and Goodfellow from all the way back in 1870, and that states to have capacity to make a will, a person must understand the nature and effect of making a will, the extent of their estate, so what they actually have to give away, and also understand any claims that might be made to their estate. So that's essentially anybody who might reasonably expect to benefit from their estate.
Yeah.
And they also mustn't be affected by any kind of mental disorder that would prevent them from making a will.
Yeah. And it's remarkable, isn't it, that we're still relying on such an old test?
Yes, and actually the Law Commission recently has suggested that we might be moving to something more in line with the test in the Mental Capacity Act to kind of modernise and bring the test for making wills into line with what we use for lifetime gifts.
Yeah, but for now, it's still there.
Yes, for now.
And what if there's any doubt about capacity?
So wherever there's doubt, we would always say involve a solicitor. That solicitor can take a detailed note of what the person's reasoning are for any gifts that they're making.
Yeah.
Same with a will, they can record the person's wishes, any things that might come across as strange or where somebody might expect to benefit from their estate and the person doesn't actually intend to do that. They can make their reasoning clear for that, so that then should a dispute arise, that can be dealt with. And equally, if there are concerns as to capacity, the solicitor can make their own assessment of the person's capacity and arrange for a capacity assessment by a GP or a specialist, which provides some really good evidence that they did actually have the mental capacity to make the will.
Mm-hmm. And that's called the golden rule, isn't it?
Yes, so wherever there's doubt as to person's capacity, get a test done.
Absolutely. And I think that's particularly important when the will is going to be a surprise to the family. Yeah,
absolutely. So if somebody's going to be left out of the will, it's really important that that decision is recorded and the reasoning for that is put there. So if it is challenged, then at least the person dealing with that can explain to that person what the reasoning was. Yeah. And also, if necessary, produce a capacity assessment, or you should be able to tell from the notes that the solicitor was satisfied with that they had capacity. And often we see those kind of very tough decisions or tough conversations being pushed down the road so that the person dies without having informed that person or those persons. Yeah. And then the dispute inevitably kicks off afterwards.
Absolutely, because I guess we're always looking for those gaps, aren't we? Yeah. Where if people can fill those gaps when the will's being made, then it leaves it's a lot harder for someone to challenge it. Not impossible, but it does help, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how does that differ for lifetime gifts?
Yep. So for lifetime gifts, that actually does use the Mental Capacity Act and also some case law, one of which is Ray Beanie is the name of that case. And the Mental Capacity Act says the person must be able to understand, retain and weigh up the relevant information to do with the gift and then communicate their decision. And the case, Ray Beanie, says that the consequence or the value of the gift, the greater it is, the higher level of understanding and mental capacity that person needs. Yeah,
and this is something that we see really often, isn't it? It arises a lot in families.
Yes, so very often we see where someone might be appointed as an attorney under a lasting power of attorney. One sibling maybe isn't involved as much in the care of that person. They might still be an attorney, but just not particularly involved. And even where the power of attorney is not being used because that person hasn't actually lost capacity, and they decide to make a gift to that sibling. Later in life when they die, a challenge can be brought by the other sibling, obviously complaining about that gift. So if that decision has been recorded and assessments being made of the person's capacity, it can usually help to kind of put that off.
Yeah. So again, it's always best to seek legal advice, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that sense.
Absolutely. So a solicitor again can arrange for a capacity assessment if necessary, record their view of the person's capacity, their understanding of what it is they're actually doing, to satisfy as well the point about, if it's a especially valuable gift, to make sure that person understands the consequences of what they're doing.
Yeah, and it just protects everyone, doesn't it, if it's all documented properly.
Yeah.
So essentially, whether it's a will or a lifetime gift, if there is any uncertainty about capacity, seek legal advice, document everything properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Those steps can't prevent a challenge from being brought, but often it can really help to either, if the person does their investigations beforehand, actually stopping them from going any further, or if the other side and the person's going to defend that challenge can produce sort of a wealth of information that really points to suggest the person did have capacity, and maybe even give some reasoning as to why they did whatever they did, it can usually help to stop it in its tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jacob.
No,
thank you. And thank you for watching. And if you have any questions or queries at all in relation to wills or gifts or lack of capacity or any contentious probate issues, really, just have a look at our website. All of our details are on there. And thanks for watching.